Bonjour tout le monde. On commence la grammaire. Hello, let's get started with our first grammar video of the semester. We're going to go through some review concepts and some new concepts. Here we go. First things first, take it back all the way to the beginning. We're going to look at être, to be. As you probably remember, this verb goes like this. Je suis. Tu es. Il est. Elle est. Nous sommes. Vous êtes. Ils sont. Elles sont. Then of course we have our other old friend, avoir, to have. J'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. And then aller, which of course means to go. Je vais. Tu vas, il va, elle va, nous allons, vous allez, ils vont, elles vont. And last but not least, faire, to do or make. Je fais. Tu fais, il fait, elle fait, nous faisons, vous faites, ils font, elles font. Then we're going to go through the verb groups that we know, the ER verbs specifically. We know that they end E, ES, E, ONS, EZ, ENT. Now those are all of our reviews. Move on to the new stuff. This week we're going to learn about IR verbs. IR verbs are much like our friends' ER verbs. They're going to be very regular, so almost everything that ends in IR will follow the pattern I'm about to show you. The first will be to remove the IR at the end of the verb and replace it with IS for the je form. Then, for the tu form, you'll also replace it with IS. For the il form or the elle form, it will be IT. For the nous form, it will be ISSONS. For the vous form, it will be ISSEZ. And for the il form and the elle form, it's ISSENT. There is a song which you are more than welcome to look up online of singing the IR verbs, which will get these forms stuck in your head very well. The other thing, of course, to do is to practice using IR verbs like réussir, which means to succeed, or choisir, which means to choose. So for choisir, if I was going to make it match the nouns, if I was going to conjugate it, I would take off the IR in choisir and I would replace it with IS for je and make it je choisis. And much the same for the tu form, it would be tu choisis. For the il or elle form, it would sound the same, choisis. For the nous form, it would be choisissons. For the vous form, it would be choisissez. And for the il or the elle form, it would be choisissent. Like always, we don't pronounce that ENT. We'll go over this more in class, so don't worry if that feels a little shaky still. Just make sure you're getting these forms and try practicing it with the verbs in your book. The other concept we're going to cover that's new is il faut plus an infinitive. Il faut means it's necessary or one must. And so in this case, il faut dormir. It's necessary to sleep. One must sleep. This is often used in many ways. I used it more whenever I'm in charge of a classroom particularly, to tell students that they need to do things more so than I did in my daily life when I was living in France or abroad in general. But il faut has a million wonderful uses, and so I recommend getting comfortable saying il faut and then following up with an infinitive form of a verb. For example, il faut sortir. One must go out. Il faut manger. One must eat. Il faut manger 3 fois par jour. It's necessary to eat 3 times each day. Things like that will start to flow more naturally as you move through French, so getting comfortable with il faut will help you along the way. And then our last concept of the week is one of my favorite words, chez. It means at the home of or at the place of business of. So, for example, if someone owns a place and they're doing their business there, that would be chez also. So, for example, mon appartement, where I live, would be chez moi, at my home. And your home would be chez toi. Or if you're talking about Henri, you could be chez Henri, at Henry's house. In the same way, you can be chez la fleuriste, or at the florist's, or chez le médecin, at the doctor's. It's really easy to use chez to talk about places that you are, both in terms of visiting people and visiting businesses to run your errands. In a complete sentence, that would look something like Je vais chez Julie et nous allons chez le boulanger. Now, you may know already that a boulanger is a baker, and so we would be going to the bakery, the place of business of the baker. So it will feel a little bit strange, but it shortens a lot of what you're saying, and it's definitely something you'll hear a lot when you're in France or any other French-speaking country. Oh, my goodness, we have yet another concept for this week. Sorry, surprise extra. When you are learning the imperative, you are learning to give commands. So you'll use the to, nous, or vous form with the pronoun. Now it says here except, and I'll give you those exceptions in a minute, but what's more important right now is you think about it in English. So if I wanted to say, hey you, go grab that book, or hey you, pick up your shoes, or something like that, of course, you're telling someone else to do something, you would say it with the tu or the vous form in French. And you would just drop you like you do in English, and you would say, pick up that book. It would be much the same in French, and you already know those forms. Now, if you remember back to like your grade school days, you may remember that your teacher would say things like, let's pick up our toys, or let's go get a snack, or let's remember our coats. Now, of course, she knew to remember her coat, and she wasn't reminding herself, but it was a softer form of the command, and one that included her. And so that's something that French allows for the flexibility to do with as well. And the way that you do that is by using the nous form of the verb without saying nous. So, let's eat would be mangeons. And that would be the basics of giving commands in French. Now, some exceptions for you, because of course, what would grammar be without exceptions in any language? With the to form of ER verbs, you'll take off that S. So you know that the to form ends in S almost all of the time in French. Only with regular ER verbs, you'll take that S off whenever you're using the to command. So if you're telling someone to eat their carrots, and you're using manger, you wouldn't have an S on the end of manger. Of course, this doesn't change the sound at all, and you very rarely write commands, so it would be very easy to let this rule slide from your mind. But it's very important that when you're writing a command, you remember to remove that S. And the best way to do that is to remember it mentally whenever you're making commands out loud. The other big exception, oh voila, I have an example for you, good. Mange. But of course with the vous form, you just leave it as it would be in the traditional vous form. Now with avoir and etre, those are your biggest exceptions when it comes to making commands. They use their subjunctive forms, which is something you won't have to worry about for a really long time in French, but pops up when you're making commands. So it's good to know that this form will come back later in other places, but for right now what's most important is that you learn I and ayez for have, and sois and soyez for be. So be ready or be prepared. You know, soyez prête. Be prepared is what that means. Be ready. And ayez tes gants. Well, hold on one second. That was an error. See if you can catch it. Ayez tes gants is have your gloves, which is important because it's cold outside. Alrighty. I think we are actually finally done with our first video. Go ahead and take the quiz and read the book and make sure that you're prepared for class, and watch this as many times as it takes for all of it to be processed. No worries. And I look forward to seeing you in class. Have a good week.